In today's episode, just analyze the bucket? No problem. You want it spicy? You got it. Sure, I'll teach you how to fold a crane. So let's get started. Just analyze the bucket? No problem. Obligatory notification about being on mobile, sorry for any formatting issues. Also, I just finished a night shift, so I am a little bit drowsy before bed, so apologies for spelling mistakes. Background: in August last year, 2020, I successfully handed in the last piece of work, a CFD simulation study, that cemented my master's degree in advanced mechanical engineering and aerospace with a first-class distinction. I am very familiar with fracture mechanics. Important facts to draw from this are: there is a worldwide pandemic on, and being quarantined leads to no shortage of boredom. I have just proved my competence as an engineer with a focused specialization towards computer simulation models. Engineers when bored are dangerously sassy. The story: as a recent graduate while the world is closed off, getting an entry-level position is somewhat of a challenge, with companies struggling to stay afloat in these troublesome times, and the landlord still comes chomping at the bit for his rent money. I now currently work for a company run by a colorful megalomaniac which has a youngly name specialized in warehouse-based online commerce. No names will be mentioned. I am vastly overqualified for my position, but needs must. I am currently in the department that deals with quality. One of my main responsibilities now is going around the warehouse inspecting items for defects, issues with returns, repeated problems and frequently damaged items, and passing judgment before auditing them, fixing problems as I go and raising tickets as necessary. It's not a bad job to be doing. One of the things I raise tickets for is preparation of items, which happens if an item is fragile or regularly broken and needs additional protection. It is up to me whether it is worthwhile sending things for prep. When I was given my training for this role, my mentor warned me about someone whose login literally appears a synonym of battleground, and to expect their messages on the in-house messaging system to be equally as dramatic sounding. They are one of the individuals who reads my tickets and audits and sets the follow-ups in motion, but don't necessarily see all the info I see. They also work the opposite shift to me, so there is no overlap, and the only time communication gets through is at the start and end of each shift as we see messages left. A few nights ago my computer on wheels told me to check a bucket of detergent for damages. I was sent to a few locations and judged the product to be unpreppable, i.e. it's a container made of brittle plastic that has a hazmat item inside, and has 5 kilograms of product inside. The reason it was deemed so as our standard test to see if an item will need prep is to drop it from 3 feet high. If you damage that unit, all others should get prepped. This item will definitely break on impact, and even with bubble wrap it will need many layers to stop that happening. As a result, the cost/benefit of wrapping up the 1,500 of these items in inventory doesn't add up, especially as it would take multiple back-to-back shifts to fix this in-house for just this one item. Battleground left me a message stating that if I believe the item will break, it must be analyzed, and they believe the items must be prepped, although they aren't aware of how many there are in stock. They actually are the same level as me in the hierarchy, and have no actual power to direct me as they wish, and I protest that there is no way I'm going to start dropping 5 kilograms buckets of hazmat on the floor. Then the message is waiting for me at the start of my next shift to do your job and just analyze the bucket, which was actually all in caps. Okie dokie, MC time. I got home the morning after having not being sent to look at any of those items that night, and in an effort to satisfy the request began designing the bucket in CAD. I knew the dimensions, I knew the material, and I had the software licenses to create a detailed impact simulation. I discovered that in order to absorb enough impact to not break the bucket, I would need 6 layers or cushioning at least for 3-foot drops. The highest this item is stored is 24 feet up in the air on pallets. Naturally, I proceeded to continue my investigation, and by the time my next shift rolled around 3 nights later, I had an 8-page technical report on my structural analysis of the bucket with a rough cost-benefit analysis included, and a feasibility assessment. I raised a ticket for a damage issue, Sing Battleground in for all updates, attached my report, and listed it publicly in the building. The next shift I was simply met with a ticket resolved notification. You want it spicy? You got it. So this happened to my wife about 3 or 4 years ago. I asked her again about it last night, because I just thought it was funny. My wife is from Thailand and she used to be a manager at a Thai restaurant. One night as the restaurant was close to closing, some guy, 40-ish, who I'll call Spicy Guy, walks in with a younger lady. Already my wife and her coworker are annoyed, but whatever, she remains professional and seats them. Her coworker waits on the table and the couple orders. I don't know what the lady ordered, but Spicy Guy orders red curry and specifically asks it to be spicy, like really spicy. My wife is already used to dealing with these types. Their way of flexing is to show how much spice they can eat, and in the case with this guy, also impress his date. So fine. They make it spicy. His curry comes out, he takes a spoonful, and he sends it back, because it still is not spicy enough. What might have been a mild annoyance at any other time of the day is a serious aggravation because he came in when it was already close to closing time. He's sending his food back even though it was made to his specifications. The main reason he's doing this is because he wants to impress his date. I don't understand that. Again, my wife knows these types and he also probably doing this to impress the staff. Like my wife and her coworkers are going to think, wow, that white guy can really eat some spice. That never happens. So my wife talks to Spicy Guy and tells him that it is going to be really spicy. He says he's cool with that in a totally bro-type way. He specifically tells her, do it like how you eat. Again, my wife is Thai. Before she herself remakes his dish, she asks him to pay in advance, which he does. She takes the curry back and adds 2 heaping spoonfuls of freshly ground Thai chiles. This, in a bowl that is relatively small. But it is indeed how she eats. She takes the curry back and Spicy Guy looks satisfied. There are no other customers and all the checks, receipts, and money have been counted, so she just sits and watches. Spicy Guy then takes a spoonful of curry, my wife sees his face, and then clearly notices the look of pain as well as the look of knowing there is more pain to follow. By this point he's made such a big show in front of his date and my wife and her coworker of how much spice he can eat, so to save face he eats every last spoonful of the curry. He and his date leave. Since they were done with closing duties, Spicy Guy and his date notwithstanding, my wife and her coworker close the restaurant right after. When the doors are locked, my wife and her coworker head to Kroger, which is across the street, because they both need to do a little shopping. As they are entering the parking lot, they see Spicy Guy right in front of them. Her coworker saw him first. Hey, isn't that the guy? Sure enough, Spicy Guy had immediately left the restaurant, gone to Kroger, and rushed to the bathroom where he presumably blew it up. My wife never saw him, nor his date, again. But who knows, maybe Spicy Guy and his date are still together. Hopefully, though, they'll just stick with steak and potatoes. Sure, I'll teach you how to fold a crane. So, years and years back, I worked at an art gallery, where I also sold these super cute little origami crane earrings I hand lacquered. I'd perfected my technique over many months of trial and error. Some other shops sold origami earrings, but they were usually just paper, which would fall apart if they got even a little damp, or only superficially coated with something, which wasn't much better. I had artistic pride in presenting unique and beautiful pieces with real staying power. Part of what I did as an employee involved teaching classes, which I enjoyed. I taught watercolor, creative writing, paper crafts, jewelry making, and origami. Usually I came in with a specific project in mind for my students, who ranged in age, but were mainly in the 30 to 60-year-old age group. I was well known at the gallery, so people knew what to expect, and my watercolor classes sometimes had so many people attending that we had to turn people away. One of the students who came in for classes once in a while, let's call her K, age about 65, also consigned work with our gallery. Her pieces were cute, but overpriced. Nice beads, but $60 to $100 for a single strand bracelet in our town was pretty steep. My earrings flew off the shelves at $14 a pair, while she made maybe 1 or 2 sales a quarter. I think that's where Kay got the idea to start making my earrings. She thought she was being subtle, but I saw her earlier in the day standing next to my earrings with this certain look on her face. When my paper crafting class started, Kay immediately asked if I could teach her how to fold a crane, and her eyes darted over to my earring stand. I took a deep breath. I only had a few students that day, so I got the other ones started on some paper quilling with the objective of making a flower. They all had at least a little prior experience, answered all their questions, made sure they were going strong, and sat down next to Kay. Now, when I teach origami, it's usually a class full of students all doing the same thing, and we start small. A flower. A ladybug. A leaf. Little things that help them learn the basic folds. I also start them on large paper 6 inches, or for those who struggle with that, 8.5. I usually go one fold at a time, make sure all the students have that fold down, then move to the net fold. I correct their folds. I have diagrams. I show them the finished pieces they're working towards at the start. We move on to more complex pieces as their ability grows. Not with Kay that day though. First, she wants to learn my techniques to make her own earrings to sell, and then she wants to interrupt my class? Fine. I pulled out my 3-inch paper, a sheet for me and one for Kay. I went through the folds quickly, not so fast that it seemed like I was leaving her behind on purpose, but fast enough that she finished a fold just to see me beginning the next before she had her bearings again. I didn't go out of my way to check her folds. I didn't correct her when a fold went askew. I corrected major issues that wouldn't lead to anything like a crane so she wouldn't think I was sabotaging her, but no more than that. At the end, I had a beautiful, crisp crane sitting in front of me. She had a squashed-looking malformed duck with one huge wing. She sort of frowned at it. You know, I said, cranes are exponentially harder to fold the smaller you go. What size paper did we just use? 3-inch. What size do you use for your earrings? She jerked her head in the direction of my display. 1.25. Kay never bothered trying to make my earrings after that. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.